So hello guys and welcome to another C# video. My name is Daniel and today I'm going to tell you something about type indexers in C#. This video is geared towards the more professional developers who are working on bigger projects or want to dig into the C# language a little more. But no matter if you are a beginner or a professional, I hope you enjoy my content. Okay, to demonstrate this, I've created an empty console project and I named it type indexers. But you can name it whatever you want, it doesn't matter. Okay, so we are going to kick things off by creating an empty class called user. And we are going to create a little model for our users. So we are going to add a private string name, and then of course a private, or not of course, yeah, private int, ID. We are going to add a constructor. This is a great tip as well. If you type in CTOR and double tap or double click tap, you are presented a default constructor for any class. And we are going to add name, and here then the ID, and we are going to assign ID to our private ID, and then do the same thing for name. And we are going to create a public property which will be of type int, and then we'll return the our private contents of int, and then another one for name. I'm sorry, it's the wrong type, but I will fix it right away. Okay, it's a string. So this is our quick model. I think it's pretty easy to understand for everyone. I will just make this public for the sake of this tutorial. The next thing we are going to do is we will create another class. It will be called userList, and this class will be public, and it will be a subclass of list. You know, we all know list. It's just like a collection of items. List of type user. Okay, so next thing we are going to do, we will actually define an indexer, because basically a list is a collection of items which can be indexed by default by an integer index. So it will return some entity within the collection which is in the position of the index you pass in. But the whole goal of this tutorial is to show you how to define your own type indexer, or your own indexer, which will, for example, accept a string as is. It will, for example, accept a string and then return a user instance from the collection. So we will actually create a public this method called this, which takes in a string, we will name it name, and it returns a user. And okay, within this get block, we will actually make a for each loops, and we will loop through the list within our user list class, through the collection, which this object holds when we create it, of course. And then so we will create a user. Oh, sorry. In this, because the user list represents, basically in our case, it represents a list of users. So we don't say anything like users or whatever, because this class itself is a list of users. So you can just say this. And inside of here, we will just check if, for example, the name of the user is the same as the name we have here. And if so, then we can actually return the user. This is the user object from the collection, from this collection. And if we were to leave the code as it is, we will get this error right here. It's just not all code paths return a value. That's because we're just returning a user here, and if there's no user, then there is no return statement after it. So just right here after the for each loop, we will just return a null. Okay, so this is our userList class done, and now we can actually go to the program, and we can implement all we have, or not implement, we can actually use all the code we have just written, and all the code we have, all the classes we have implemented. So we will begin by actually making an instance of the user list. We can call it user list with the capital L, which is just like a convention in C#, of course, and we will create a new instance of user list. We now have this instance, and we will add some dummy information. So we will create a new user with the ID and my name, for example. Then another user with another ID and another name, and let's add a third user. So I'll round up, and it will be called Stewie. Yeah. So we have added 3 users, which are now stored in the collection, in the user list collection. The only thing that's left to do here is to actually print out some information from the collection. So we first will retrieve a user. So we can call it a user from our collection. So user list is our collection, and we will index it by, as you can see here, a string. So for example, in our collection there is Martin, so I will say Martin and add a semicolon. And now our user, if of course this string is contained in the collection, then our user holds the user object. And now we can, for example, just print out the user's ID, and we will do it using this neat shortcut. It's called CW, and if we tap twice, you can see here we are presented with a nice write line statement, once a write line statement. So we will actually use this string interpolation notation, which I actually talked about in the previous video, so you can go check it out. And we will say, for example, name, or name is of course the name of the user. So we say we will say name, user name, and then maybe it's a colon, and then do our comma and do ID. It will be user.id. Now if we run it, and if we implemented everything correctly, we should see an ID of 2. I'm sorry, it was probably there, but I forgot to add a readline statement. And we see everything worked correctly. If I were to actually change this to Daniel and run this again using the Ctrl F5 shortcut, I see an ID of 1. If I change this to Stewie, Ctrl F5, I see an ID of 3. So that is all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one.